that is the what, but the actual change and transformation and the value lies in solving the fears. That is what they essentially want to accomplish without actually telling anyone. So that's where your psychic powers come into play.
And this is where your offer, your unique offer, needs to, like, you're selling it to the frustrations, and there's a really gentle underlying of tapping into the fears and the problems.
Welcome to Marketing with Vino, the edutainment business growth podcast, mixing education and entertainment to make growing your service business much more fun. Your hosts, Quinton Venter, online marketing expert, and Gabby Kowalski, creator of the Business Freedom Formula, have a glass of wine and share powerful and up-to-date strategies to help grow your service business fast.
Hello and welcome to Marketing with Vino with myself, Gabby Kowalski, and the fabulous, awesome, and by the way, topless, Quinton Venter.
Hey guys, just to give you a bit of reference, it is freaking hot here in Sydney. By the way, I'm not complaining. I love this summer. It's the reason why we moved to this country. So that is why I'm sitting here topless, drinking a glass of ice cold red. And we all know why red should be cold. Enjoying episode number 10.
Pretty exciting stuff. It is episode 10, so we've been at it for 10 or 9 plus this. So we've been at it. We're still alive. We're still going. So that's a positive thing.
Love it. You guys have been, you guys have been the vehicle of this and helping us reach double digits. This is amazing.
Yes, a special day for the Marketing with Vino crew here. And because of this, Quinton has agreed to do this topless. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, we can't see that, Gabby. I'm sure some of the men probably don't want to. But that's a good thing. So for you guys, we did this for you. For all the ladies, use your imagination. I swear sometimes I think Quinton takes his top off just to market himself better and attract more clients.
Sex sells, but it's a different type of business we're in.
That's right. And that takes us to the topic we want to cover today, which is how do you create an irresistible offer? Now, you're probably thinking we're going to go topless. We're not. We're actually not going to go to old school sales techniques. We're going to go a little bit deeper.
I think it's so applicable. Irresistible offer, topless man for the female. Yeah, I think
topless lady for the man. Look, you know what? This has been used in marketing for a long time. The Harley Davidson definitely took advantage of it. So have many car brands. I think it's definitely not something you should overlook, unless you don't look good topless. If you don't look good topless, I don't recommend you do it. So it's just one of those things that go at your own discretion.
It kind of makes me think about this. This cool little ad article that I saw the other day where they actually showed how females have been used to sell products and how males have been programmed for decades, years and years and years on just looking at female flesh, female skin, getting curious about when they see a bit of female skin. And that's why you'll see something advertised with a pair of legs, but you don't see the same thing advertised with a pair of male legs. Like you don't just.
I wonder why though.
It. Yeah, exactly, and it's the psychology behind it. They started looking into the statistics of of males consuming porn and how much they're actually spending on porn. And
are we really talking about this?
We are really talking about this with Irresistible Offer because they started looking at the male behavior on consuming porn, and they also took into account that yes, there's a subcategory of women that also consume a large amount of it, but not in ratio of the male. And then they started looking at not just heterosexual males, but also gay males that also consume the same amount of gay porn. So they just started putting it into context of the male being driven when they see the opposite sex or the same sex that they are attracted to help sell a product, to help make that product more irresistible. So that's a bit of a funny insight there, but I mean, marketers have been doing this for decades, since the beginning of time, on how do they position their product or service or even themselves irresistibly to be sexy, to be devoured by their market, that they don't really care about what the market is. They get so distracted on the actual sexiness that is representing it.
And if you don't want to take your top off, there are other ways to do it.
Totally.
So that's right. And one of them is, for me, it's actually really understanding your market. It's really understanding a few things about your market. And, if you're prepared listening to this, completely okay if you're not, but if you've got a piece of paper and a pen handy, then you can draw this out for yourself. If not, just imagine it in your mind's eye. I want you to think of like a person. This person represents your market. It's your ideal client. And on the left side of this person, I want you to get that this person, in relation to the problem you solve, has fears, frustrations, and problems. And on the other side, on the right-hand side of this person, I want you to imaginary draw, or actually draw on paper if you have it there, that they actually have wants, desires, and aspirations around the problem that you solve. And so in order to create an irresistible offer, you actually need to do some market research. You need to understand your client better than they understand themselves.
Yeah.
You need to understand what it is that they really fear. What are they frustrated about? What are their problems? What are their real problems around the thing that you solve?
Can you go
a
little bit deeper for the audience on the difference between fears and frustrations and wants and aspirations? What do they really mean, and why is that so important?
Good one. I'm just going to use my market as an example.
Yeah.
So, for example, I've done quite a lot of research into my particular market, and I work with highly skilled service providers who kick ass at what they do and relatively okay at business. However, they haven't spent the amount of time, learning and devouring business as they have their craft, their thing. Now, this is the thing. Their fears, when I really got down to the nitty-gritty, their absolute core fear that they don't even really allow themselves to acknowledge half the time is they're scared shitless of failing in the eyes of their loved ones and their family. Their biggest fear is that they pursued this dream, that they backed themselves in business, they went for gold, and it didn't pan out, and they've had to admit to their closest friends and family that they failed in this pursuit, and eventually, potentially, even rock up having to live with their parents or something crazy like that. It's a big fear. So we're not talking yes, of course, it's a fear of failure, but specifically failing in the eyes of their loved ones.
Yeah.
They're frustrated because they've got a lot on, meaning that they're frustrated because they're time poor. They've got so much shit to do, and they feel like they're on a bit of a constant friggin' little, what's the little, that hamster wheel thing?
Yeah.
A hamster wheel. What's the, God. Anyway.
It's the Vino.
Yeah, it's the Vino. It's the Vino. Or it might not be. English is my third language, so let's just go with that. Yeah, it sounds so much more eloquent. So they're frustrated because they've got a lot on. They're having to deal with so many different they're putting on so many different hats, so to speak. They've got marketing, they've got sales, they've got the delivery of their product. They've got to, make sure that their bookkeepers are doing the right thing, their accounts are taken care of. There's so many different things going on in growing their business. They're learning new things and implementing, and some of the stuff they rock at and some of the stuff they suck at. So they're kind of frustrated because they feel like, oh, God, there's so much to do. The other frustrations they have are around client consistency, where they've got big months in business and not so big months in business. So there's a lack of consistency for them. They're frustrated because their staff that they've got working for them aren't as proactive and productive as they could be, and also that they churn and burn through staff, meaning they'll spend all this time, training someone up only to have them leave, and they've got to do the whole thing over again. And they just feel like, oh, God, there's this constant kind of uphill battle. Yeah. Frustrations, the problems they quite frankly have, and problems are a bit different. Sometimes your clients are going to know the problems, and ultimately problems are going to be things that they have. So, for example, So this is based on your particular expertise. You're going to know the symptoms, the frustrations of your clients are going to be creating certain problems that they may or may not know. And there's going to be problems directly in, so for me, being that I work with business owners, there's problems that occur in their business because of certain things missing in their processes, and what they're doing is missing certain key points. And there's problems that are going to happen in their life because they're not doing it right. So, for example, for me, the problems they have are, one, time poor and or cash flow poor. That's the stuff they see. What's really going on for them from a problem perspective is they set out to create a business because they wanted the dream. They believe that it would get them the time, the money, and the meaning. That they'd actually get to make an impact and a difference on the planet and feel fulfilled. What they found, though, is that they're neglecting their health and or relationships. So their actual problems, because of all of this stuff, that they're working so much that either their family or their friendships or their love life is being sacrificed, and they're not really spending enough time in that area of life, and their health tends to get sacrificed, which means they don't work out like they used to. They don't take care of their health like they used to. So the problems, does this make sense? Where even though they're not business-related problems, they're actually the problems they're experiencing in their life that hurt them. So this is what I mean by, this is the fear, this is the frustration, and these are the problems. And you need to know your market well enough to understand this stuff, because when you create an offer, you want to solve this stuff. You want to be able to solve their greatest fear by giving them so for me, it's about giving them a blueprint, a strategy, a map, something that just makes them go, I get it now. I've got nothing to be afraid of. If all I do is this, I'm guaranteed to win, like a guarantee, so to speak, to get rid of the fear. Yeah? Yeah. When it comes to the frustrations, it's actually about solving all of the all of the stuff that's going on that's causing the frustrations. Deeper than that, for me, within my programs, I actually go deep on making sure that my clients, when they first come on and I onboard them, that one of the first things I teach them is making sure that as they grow their business, they honor each part of their life. They honor business, they honor love, they honor health. Yeah. And as soon as I give them the formula for that and how to actually leverage that and get more momentum and more results in business, you should see them. Oh my God, it's like finally someone's given them permission to have a day off, to spend, all of a sudden when I tell them that if you don't spend time with your loved ones, you're actually hurting your business, because it means you're not playing at your 100%. So every result you get is minimized. Yeah. Straight away, they've got permission to spend time with their loved ones, and they don't know, they make time for it. When I tell them, if you don't honor your health, you're not going to have the energy and vitality to actually execute these projects and to enjoy the fruits of your harvest. Straight away, they're like, oh my God. So it's funny, I take the work off them. Their frustrations are elevated instantly because I know all of this stuff about them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does, totally. For those that are listening, the fears and frustrations, when you think about fears, it is things that they won't necessarily speak to everyone about. They kind of hold that up in themselves. But if you can be in the mind of your ideal client and really understand their fears, that is the driving motions. Whereas their frustrations are things that they are looking to solve right now. It's more an immediate problem. It's more an immediate thing that they want to get a solution to. So that is the what, but the actual change and transformation and the value lies in solving the fears. That is what they essentially want to accomplish without actually telling anyone. So that's where your psychic powers come into play.
And this is where your offer, your unique offer, needs to, you're selling it to the frustrations, and there's a really gentle underlying of tapping into the fears and the problems, meaning that if you're marketing, you never directly go. So I would never directly market and say, if you're afraid of failing in the eyes of your family, I'd never say that. Instead, I'd use a case study. And, so for example, if I wanted to get this message across in my marketing and to position my offer, I'd say something like, I was talking to one of my clients the other day, and he said to me that, you know what, it was hard for him to admit, but he realized that he was actually really afraid of failing, because he hated the thought of telling his wife that everything he'd worked for, that everything he'd put them through, it all turned to dust. It left them in debt, and it left them with nothing, and he failed her as a husband. And since doing my program, he's gotten the map, he's gotten the exact blueprint to make sure he succeeds. He knows now how to get there step by step, and this fear has completely disappeared. All he's doing right now is ticking the boxes, and cool shit is happening. Just the other day, he sent me an SMS saying, I just did 5 sales consults, 4 out of 5 signed instantly. The 5th one I actually didn't even pitch to, because they were a 6 out of 10. And I know that if they're not at least an 8 out of 10, there's no point in pitching to them. I told them they're not ready, and the client was happy that I was that honest with them. And he's rocking it. He's literally ticking the boxes. His business is growing. That fear is obliterated because he now has the strategy, the map, the proof, the what he needed to alleviate that. So does that make sense, where I can share the fear that way in my marketing, but I wouldn't directly speak about it? Whereas frustrations, we can actually talk about frustrations directly.
Yes,
so
that's a beautiful point. Yeah.
Yeah. The problems, and even problems, we can, problems are one of the other things that it's not so much directly, like you wouldn't go, well, you could, but so for me, it's not like I'd go in and say, are you finding that growing your business has taken, I could. Are you finding that growing your business has actually taken you away from your family, away from your friends, away from your loved ones, away from the gym, and, you're working way too hard, you're finding that you're putting on weight, your family's cracking the shits with you, and you want to fix this. Now, I could say that, but it's not what they're looking for. These are the problems that they have. So once again, the best way for me to use that particular information in my sales copy is to talk about case study. It's to talk about someone who came to me with a frustration, a common frustration of, for argument's sake, not having a consistent flow of clients. And, we've implemented XYZ strategy. They're now rocking it, which means they've got the time now to spend time with their family, to go to the gym. And do you get what I'm saying, how it's different?
Yeah.
Like the way you play this out, in the way you present your message to make it irresistible for them to come and work with you. It's knowing these things, but also knowing how to communicate them in your sales process. So they find it irresistible to do business with you.
Yeah.
Is that what you were sort of getting at when you asked me, can you break it down, or did I go a bit? Yeah.
No, you explain it perfectly. It is it's within the fears that actually becomes irresistible, because the what can be delivered through so many different means, but the actual transformation happens when the fears are being resolved. And that is if you can show proof or if you can show a process on allowing that to happen, that is where it becomes irresistible. That is actually what they want. But Gabby, can you share on how do you discover these fears and frustrations? What is your particular process on getting so deep into your ideal client's head that you basically speak their language?
Yeah, gotcha. And it's funny you should say this, Quinton, because I'm pretty sure we discussed this in episode 1 or 2. And there's actually resources on this inside the resources option for if you go to the page, you'll see a resources tab. It's called the Avatar Interview, and we're giving it to you freely. It's a 33-question chat that you want to have with your ideal clients, and the purpose of it is for you to ask specific questions to get into the psyche of your ideal client. This particular interview, and you want to run it quite a fair few times, is going to let you know this stuff. But understand that when you do it, you don't want to just like send it to them and say fill in the answers. You actually want to, you want to do this interview with clients that you're very close with, that are willing to be vulnerable with you, and that will actually go deep on this stuff with you. Yeah. And you want to do it quite a fair few times. The further thing is, for me, there's one, it's literally doing the research. It's asking the right questions to my market. 2, it's being in business long enough and noticing certain things too. So, for me, I think a lot of the people that are listening today, I found this unique thing when it comes to service-based businesses that, and correct me, Quinton, if you think I'm wrong here, this is just my take and my experience. Most of us in business, there was a time where you weren't the rock star at what you do, meaning that, you could be a naturopath, a hairdresser, a kinesiologist, a Facebook marketing guru, a business mentor, like myself. You could be anyone. You could be a coach. There was a time where you didn't have what you have. And ultimately, it's also tapping into how did you feel before? Usually your best market is actually you, like literally you with the problem that you know how to solve.
Yeah.
So your best market is always going to be a match with your values, with your, with your mindset. So for me, my market's awakened. My market's already like into personal development, into professional development. They're rather quite spiritual, and they're into growth, and they're passionate, they're heart-centered.
Yeah.
They really give a shit about their clients. They want to make a difference. They want to make an impact on the planet. Often their reason for, making it big in business is so they can contribute more to charities in time and in money. They're heart-centered, yeah?
Yeah.
So they're me, right, with the problem I solve. So all I've got to do is go back in time and remember what it was like before I knew this stuff.
Yeah.
For you listening, all you've got to do is go back in time and remember what life was like before you knew how to fix skin, or how to make someone's hair look awesome, or how to fix their health, or how to get them fit, or how to help them with their mindset. Whatever it is that you do, there was a time where you didn't. And it's about tapping in and going, shit, you know what? These are the problems I had. And often it's that. It's actually like going, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's remembering all of these things, and then get this, right? Your offer becomes irresistible because you go above and beyond. You add more value than any freaking person in your industry does, because you're tapping into the wholeness of it, meaning that you're going above and beyond. For example, last night I ran a webinar for my members, and I was talking about a strategy called the stick campaign. It's basically, once you sell something, like if you sell tickets to, and you'd agree with this, Quinton,
yeah.
If I sell tickets to my workshops for the open public, I run a stick campaign, which stick campaign means it's just a campaign of cool stuff to keep them excited, keep them friggin' engaged so they want to come. So it's like getting them excited. No different to if you're about to do something cool with a friend or go on a holiday. If your friend's like, oh my God, I can't wait. I can't wait to, it's keeping that energy and momentum going. And so I was teaching them about the importance of stick campaigns. I run stick campaigns for like the market when I run promotional and, events for the general public. And I run stick campaigns for my clients. Like, ironic, right? But they're in my program. They've already paid for it. I don't need to run a stick campaign between every single intensive, but I do because it gets them extra excited.
Yeah.
Now, this is the thing. So for me personally, last night I ran a webinar on this, and I gave them all my email templates, everything I've created over the last few years that's taken me lots of time, lots of money, lots of friggin' sweat and tears. I gave everything to them so they could literally, in Word doc, so they could just go in, change and tweak, fill in the gaps, and halve their time. Now, why am I sharing this? Because to me, this is the irresistible offer thing. It's going, what do they really want? Well, one, I've been in their shoes. I know what it feels like to learn a new bit of content and get the strategy, but then have to build the whole thing myself, and I don't have templates. So I'm always thinking, and I want you to think this way too, guys, whenever you're creating your offers, it's, if you've had an experience in your industry, think back to the beginning. What would have made your experience better? What would have made your journey quicker, faster? What would have made you become a raving fan, and implement that into your offer? Implement that into what you do with clients, because that's going to make it irresistible.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does, totally.
Yeah, because I didn't get it. Like, I literally, I paid big money to learn certain stuff, and no one gave me friggin' templates and Word docs and swipe files. So this is where I want you guys thinking the same thing. This is how you get into the psyche of your person.
Yeah.
Think, what would I need if I was you? What would make my experience better? For some of you listening to this, if you're in the wellness industry and you're naturopaths or chiropractors or osteos or, you name it, some of the mistakes you make is you don't give your people enough support in their change. You're asking, some of you are asking your people to change their whole diet and stop eating sugar and bread and this, or, fitness industry, same thing. But you don't give your clients the support. It could be that you add a weekly phone call to touch base and go, hey, how you going? And re-inspire them. Give them more education. Give them, you might be sending them videos or an SMS with a voice message that just ups the ante, and you're like, it's more irresistible to stay with you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I think that is a perfect example when you've gone through the struggles that your market is currently going through, that you've been there, you can read them better than anyone else, and you can offer the solution because you've already got the results as to where they want to be. Another way for those listening and thinking, okay, cool, how do I do that, but I haven't gone through those struggles. I haven't experienced those things. I kind of notice an opportunity in the market that I'm very passionate about, but I'm not the person that has gone through those challenges yourself. How do you find out those frustrations and secret fears and make an irresistible offer to your market then? Have you got any strategies around that?
Honestly, it goes back to the first one, which is market research, which is good old-fashioned market research.
Yeah.
This is where you want to ask as many people as possible, get into the psyche of as many people as possible, ask, download the avatar interview that we've given you, and actually do it. Fill it in. Do 20 of them, and find the commonality between them, and that will help you structure an irresistible offer.
Yeah.
That will help you go, okay, how do I fix this stuff? How do I solve this? How do I add more value? Because once you've got those answers, then your brain just starts thinking solution.
Yeah. I agree. It's 100% when you start there, and it all falls back on your market research. So I actually want to share 2 ways of doing incredible market research that we use and really understanding the avatar of our clients, because as you guys can imagine, working with clients that have all these different avatars, we need to provide the ad copy and really speak to that person. So I'm going to share with you exactly how we do that. The first way we do that is we rely on Google. Or actually, before that, we will go to Amazon, right? And we will go look at books written by experts in that field. Let's say we are working with a naturopath, and we go look at the top naturopath books being written on how to grow a business for naturopathy. And what we will find is when we go look at the reviews, we will go read how many people are happy with this book and how many people are pissed off about it. And you will kind of go and find what language they are using, what are their fears and frustrations, what do they actually want to know more about, what questions are they actually asking that are unanswered. And so that is one way we are gathering resources. We go look at the reviews that are delivered on books. In Amazon, if you are in the hairdresser industry, for example, you can also go into that same avenue and find out certain tools, if certain products that are being released to the market. Go read those reviews, and you can then discover exactly what your customer, what your avatar is asking and saying, and what they want to be, what they actually want to hear, what would they more prefer. There you create your irresistible offer. The second one is Google. When we go to Google, we will go and search for top. We will look for the conferences, the people that are influencers in the certain industry. So let's just stick with naturopathy here. We will go and look for in Google top naturopathy associations or top naturopathy conferences, and we assume that the people that attend these conferences, they are there to learn, they are there to expand their skills, they are there to grow. So it's a safe zone that people that are in that mindset wanting to attend these conferences, they often would prefer to learn. So therefore we can dive more deeper as to what do they expect from these conferences. What was their feedback? What was their testimonial video saying? Most of them are positive, but listening to the language as to what they got out of it, that gives you insight as to what to put together when you are marketing yourself. Another way of going is looking for top naturopathy blogs or top naturopathy magazines. Again, those people active in magazines and blogs, they are actually consuming information that we assume they'd want to use to better themselves and better their business. So we are really getting into it and really understanding the language that they're using, that if they are using certain phrases in the blogs or reading certain articles in a magazine using a certain language, we can now tap into that and really understand that. The third tool that we use is once we've gathered those information about certain books being read or blogs being visited or conferences or magazines or role models, people that are influential, that are top known in that specific industry, we go to Facebook and we go and see where are these people hanging out? What is their following like? Can we address them? Can we tap into them? And can we really start seeing their experience? So we've done our research. We know exactly what their wants and frustrations are, and also their fears and their aspirations, because some of them will speak the language of, I just wish that someone could do this, or I just wish that there was a problem or a solution to X, my biggest problem here. We can then go forward and target specific ads to those audiences of following certain role models or subscribing to certain magazines with their desired outcomes. And therefore, we are now able to target them into the funnel. And that is what we advise our clients on based on the information gathered, that the measurements and the results that we're getting back from our ads, what is the next content that they need to provide so that they're not going with a guesswork. They're not going out there thinking, oh, maybe they would want to know more about this. We're actually giving them full data that this client is speaking this language, wishing there's a solution to this. How about you go and create the quick solution for them? Therefore, creating that initial value up front, and then we're going to package that in the language around it, exactly how to make it irresistible. Is that cool?
Yep. Yeah, it's super cool. It's friggin' super sexy. And some of you listening are going, whoa, so you might want to hire Quinton to do this for you.
We are diving deep here right now.
We are. We're actually giving you some. So depending on like where you're at in your listening, if you're a bit more advanced, then, you can take on these strategies, meaning that Quinton's giving you some pretty advanced strategies here, and they're golden. They're absolutely golden. Some of you might want to hire someone to do their market research for you, and you can do that. There's options out there. You could get a virtual assistant to do a lot of this research for you. So if you're going, oh my God, that sounds like a mountain of work, hire someone, virtually to do this for you. There's, goodness gracious, there's so many options out there on the planet right now where there's people around this world that are willing to do this kind of stuff for you at a much reduced cost than people locally would. And literally just, Google search virtual assistant and try and find the right one that can do this for you in market research. Ultimately, though, when you want to create an irresistible offer, you can't do it unless you know what's going to be irresistible to your market. And it needs to be that you're solving their problems, you're solving their frustrations. You could beat the drum of, it's funny. So this is why I'm going to laugh, because just the other day, a friend of mine, shared that one of her friends is trying to promote a workshop, and the work, like, he's a kinesiologist and he's running a workshop, and this is where it's funny, because when you promote an irresistible offer, it's never about the how, it's never about the process of how you're going to fix their problem. It's always about, here's your problem, here's my promise. Here's your problem, here's my promise. It's never about how we're going to do it. Because, for example, his whole workshop he's promoting is all about, let's get together, and what we're going to do is a spiritual practice where we're going to sit in your vulnerability. We're going to sit in, the essence of your problem until it resolves itself. We're going to sit in, the emotions of it, and we're going to feel it, and we're going to, and oh my God, I want to shoot myself in the head, quite frankly. No, it's not speaking to the problem at all. It's not speaking to the frustrations. It's not even going, hey, if you've got this problem, this workshop's for you. It's purely what we're going to do is hang out and sit in what? In problem? In, like, I'm just going to sit there and feel like shit?
Yeah.
Thank you. the reason I pose this is because one thing you got to understand, depending on where you're at, some people are big picture people and they think about, they take this information quite quickly, meaning that they can talk about, big picture stuff and solutions and they can talk about problems and solutions quite easily. Other people are more process orientated and they think about the how. They think about, how am I going to do this? And they make the mistake in marketing and in selling to talk about the how a little bit too much, where instead of focusing and hitting the so-called hot button. So just so you know, guys, in sales, there's a term called hot button. Ultimately, what it means is this particular bit of information presses the person into action. That as soon as you poke this button, it has them called to action. And it's always going into their problem, or like it's going either into their frustration, it's tapping into frustrations, wants and desires. You're either going to poke what they want or what they don't want, or what they're not happy with. You never want to talk about the process, so to speak. To give you a really good example of this, and it's really important that you get this, because when you want to create an irresistible offer, it's always going, if you have this, that problem, then do this and you're going to get this, that solution, and you're going to be rocking it. So for example, you could be in the fitness industry and, one of the problems that overweight people have, so this is going into problem, right? One of the problems that overweight people have is a lack of libido. It's actually a proven scientific fact that if you've got excess abdominal fat, your libido drops. Cool?
Yeah.
Now, this isn't a given for everybody. Some of you might be listening to this going, I've got a bit of excess body tummy and I'm good to go. You just haven't reached your peak body tummy. So if that person was to actually get that they're a personal trainer, and if they were actually to get that one of the problems they have is this, they could tap into that particular problem and market to a whole spectrum of the market that's not even looking for a personal trainer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That in knowing the problems of your market, you can tap into this and open yourself up to attract not just the people that are wanting to lose weight, but also the people that have all these other problems, attributed to having the main problem, and you can lure them in.
Yeah.
So but you do this by being quite direct to problem and not process. So, for example, if you were to, in your sales process, in your marketing, speak about the fact that if you're wanting, I don't know why I've used this as an example, but I have, if you're wanting to, to help these people, you could actually say, if you want to get your mojo back, if you're sort of going, well, what the hell's wrong with me? Is it that I'm, 30 plus? Is it that, just I've been with my partner for too long? Is it this or is it that? I'm telling you right now, it's none of that stuff. It's actually something bigger than that, and I'm going to share it with you. It's this. It's that when you've got excess tummy fat, it instantly reduces your libido. It makes you not function sexually like you used to get yourself back into prime, into mojo, and it doesn't matter if you're 30, 50, whatever. You can get there purely by doing my cool system that gets you there. It taps into, does this make sense?
Yeah.
It's tapping into that sort of thing. It's never talking about process. It's always talking and pointing at the hot button, whatever the problem is that your market is telling you is their problem. You know what? People want a solution with what you do for their own reasons, and you need to identify what it is. If you're in the fitness industry, yes, of course, they want to look good and they want to feel confident, but there's more to that. You want to go deeper and deeper and deeper on what does that really mean for them. When they have all of that, when they have the energy, the vitality, the libido, the body that they're friggin' proud of, what does that really mean to them? You want to tap into all of that so you can create an irresistible offer that speaks directly to them in their language, using their frustrations, their wants, their aspirations right back at them, and then it becomes irresistible because it feels like, to them, oh my God, dude, you got me. Like this guy's pretty cool. Like they're going to read your stuff or watch your video and go, this guy's pretty cool. They're not even going to know why. They're just going to be sitting there going, there's something about this guy that I really like. And it's purely because for the first time they're understood. It's not the standard. This is where classic marketing of, 12-week get skinny challenge. Who gives a hoot? That's really that's not the best form of selling an irresistible offer.
Yeah.
You want to go a lot deeper than that.
Yeah. It reminds me when if you were to sell a fitness program to someone saying, look, here's the process. You're going to starve yourself. You're going to count your calories. You can only eat X amount of food for X amount of time. Then you're going to go and work your ass off in the gym. Or if you can't come to the gym, you're going to do this exercise at home. This is explaining the process, and no one really thinks the process is sexy. They're like, yeah, no, that's not for me. Thank you. But if you can put the offer based on the fears and frustrations that you are solving, the problems that you are solving, getting them to the ultimate outcome, to their aspirations, to their wants, giving them their wants and allowing them to achieve their aspirations, that is the irresistible offer. So guys, the moment you start bombing down into process, you're actually boring the client, and you're doing yourself injustice on making this thing more and more sexy. You're actually making it unsexy. It's like when someone is stripping.
That's right. You're putting your top on, your jacket on,
exactly.
Your hat on.
It's like the reverse striptease. It is actually putting on clothes and the person walking out of the door again. You're like, what the hell just happened?
That was not what I expected.
Exactly. So guys, take from this that understand your ideal client. Understand him deep down. What is their fears? What is their frustrations? What is the things that they publicly talk about and search for? What is the things that they hold deeply to their heart? And as Gabby said in her example, it is for her avatar. It's the fear of failure. It's the fear of letting others down. It's the fear of not achieving what they set out to achieve. So that is deep. To really understand that, you really got to dive deep. And then you simply go ahead and take them from a sad face to a smiley face. And then the process happens in between. But they want to know that you can deliver upon that smiley face, that promise.
That's right. Exactly. And, on the flip side of that, if you're sort of going, well, you guys spent a fair bit of time on the left side of the equation, which was the fears, the frustrations, the problems. What are the wants, the aspirations, and the desires? It's the absolute opposite of the fears, frustrations, and problems. Pretty easy. If their fear is failure, then what they want is to succeed. Yeah. If their frustrations are, for argument, sales and marketing, then their wants, their desires are to be a rock star at those things. Does that make sense? If their problems are that they don't have, like for me, they don't have quality and balance of life, then they aspire to have fucking all of it. My apologies for the French. I'm getting excited. Yeah, it could be the wine. They want to have all of it. They want the whole kit and caboodle. They want their cake and to eat it. So for my market, they want all of it. Success to them means they've got all of it. That they've got money, they've got love, they've got health. Yeah, that's true success for them. So for your market, it is the opposite. It's whatever they're afraid of, whatever they're frustrated with, whatever their problems are. The opposite of that is what they're actually wanting. That's the promise. And to be honest with you, if you can't deliver on that promise, you're in the wrong market. So just get that too. Like, that's actually really important, that you need to be able to deliver the promise. If you can't deliver it, either skill up or change your market. Yeah. If you can, then be brave enough to tell them that this is what I'll promise you. This is what you'll get. Yeah. And once again, it's really getting that you want to be speaking outcome, and you don't want to be like don't get me wrong, in your sales process, you've got to give people some process and let them know what's going to happen. Please don't misunderstand me here. It's that in your marketing and in the selling of your offer, you're hitting their hot buttons. You're wanting to speak about outcome. I'm going to give you a beautiful example of this. Say, for example, let's take like a relationship coach. Now, if I was to tell you, like if I was a relationship coach and even better than that, you've had friends of yours that have inspired you to go do business with someone before, or see a movie, or whatever it might be, try a restaurant. There's a reason why they inspired you. It's because they pushed your hot buttons. So say, for example, you've got a friend who's just done a course in relationships with their husband. Say this friend's a female. Now, if she says to you, oh, my God, wow, this was incredible. before this course, Bob and I'm not going to kid to you, like for the last couple of years, things have been pretty stale. Our communication had dropped. Right, get what I'm doing? I'm going into problem.
Yeah.
Our communication had dropped. Our sex life was almost non-existent. There was times I actually thought, I was almost tempted to have an affair. I started like fantasizing about people, and wondering, shit, like, is this the right person for me? I was thinking, like, did I make a mistake? And I was, concerned because we've got kids and, it's been playing on my mind for a while. We did this course and, wow, it blew me away. I learnt everything I needed to know that I was missing my whole life to make a relationship work. Ever since this course, our whole life's transformed. Our communication, like we are talking like best friends. It's like the honeymoon period all over again. Our sex life is through the roof. It's phenomenal. And I'm so attracted to him. I'm excited. Like when Bob comes home, I run to the door and I literally give him like a frontwards piggyback, and we hug and it's awesome. Oh, I tell you what, this was one of the best experiences. That, if you've got the problem, would totally inspire you to do the course, yes?
Yes, 100%.
Let's flip it around. Let's say instead we catch up and I say, oh my God, I just did this course. Bob and I have been having some problems for a while. We did this course. It was really, really freaking powerful. On day one, I'm going to laugh. Anyway, on day one, we got given these foam batons and we got to smash each other with them for like 2 hours over the course of the day, just getting all our anger out, all the shit that I was pissed off with him. I could just smash him. It was totally okay to smash him. On day two, everyone in the room held hands in a big circle and we all kind of swayed and we all had to shout all the shit that we're pissed off about. We just shouted out into the circle, and then after all the shouting was gone, we just all started crying, and the whole circle, there's like 20 of us holding hands, crying. You're kidding? Then on day 3, Bob and I sat together in like this little egg thing, and we couldn't get out. They put us in like a tent that was like shaped like an egg, and we were trapped in there. We had to stay in there the whole time until we just got everything out. We had to hold hands, and we had to be present with each other. We had to look into each other's eyes until everything disappeared. And, honestly, it was hard. But then at the end of it, it was like everything shifted. And ever since then, oh, my God, our relationship's been awesome. Do you want to do this course?
No. Nope.
Granted, this is a bit of an extreme example, but this is what we're like the best way to demonstrate it. That when you just go problem, solution, people are inspired and the offer is sexy, it's irresistible.
It is.
When you go deep into, all the nitty-gritty, it's not. It's actually not. It's funny. I've got an appointment with a kick-ass kinesiologist. He's got about 1 million different certificates next week. Now, a friend told me about this person, and all he did was go, oh, this person's great, they did this, blah, blah, blah. I was like excited. I called him up, booked an appointment. He sent me a 69-page book that's taken already about an hour and a half. I'm still about halfway through. It's going to take me about 3 hours to fill this frigging thing out for him. If my friend had told me, oh, this kinesiologist is awesome, but he makes you fill out a 70-page book that takes you about 3 hours before you even go. This is one of those things where in your marketing, you've got to be conscious of this stuff and just tap into their hot buttons, their problems and what they want. And that makes your offer irresistible.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. And I think maybe in the next episodes to come, we should cover on the objection side of things. What if your client is asking, or the prospect is asking, so what are we doing? And they really want to hone down on the process. I think if we can elaborate on the next steps on the next episodes, how can we actually get around that question? Because at the end of the day, the client doesn't want that question to be answered. They are asking, is this a fit for me? And how you answer that is actually going to steer them away or going to make them sign up with you.
Yeah. And just a little hint, it's actually giving them a very big chunked helicopter ride of it. So it's never telling them you're going to fill in a 69-page document.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Wow.
Instead, what you do is say, I'm going to send you a questionnaire that's going to ask you a whole bunch of things so we can make sure that we get the most out of our session.
Yeah.
Very different too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's making sure that you kind of, like when you explain the process, you explain the process in not super detail, in like chunks. So you know your process well enough to divide it up into 7 steps, 8 steps, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And you could give it to them in steps, not in details. So, or keys. Like if you think of it like, when you look at all the stuff that you do, depending on what industry you're in, if they ask you the process, you want to be able to what's called high chunk it. But we'll definitely go into detail on that because I think that's valuable, and we'll do that next time.
I think that will be a lot of fun.
Yep, that sounds like fun.
This has been awesome. I mean, now that you guys know how to put an irresistible offer in front of your prospect and in your marketing, whether it's you that own the results and you've been that person before, or you're passionate about a certain industry and a certain topic, and you know that you can make a difference because it's in junction with your why. You know exactly how to tap into your prospect's head and really get to know them. Not all of us have amazing psychic powers, but this gives you some one step ahead.
Oh, this definitely gives you the ability to have them. Like honestly, when it comes to sales and marketing. This is why I love human behavior, because the more you learn about human behavior, it actually looks like you have psychic powers, but it's not. It's just tips and, it's purely just knowledge. Yeah. It's also something I'd like to cover in future episodes, like really delving into human behavior so you can really understand your market, what makes them tick, what makes them say yes or no. All of this stuff really does add to this topic that we've just sort of cracked the scratched the surface on, really.
Yeah, and also I think if we dive deep on archetypes, that'll be absolutely. You're the queen of that, so we've got some gold coming your way, guys.
Yeah, stay tuned. We're double digits, and we're still going.
We have double digits. This is incredible. Thank you so much, guys.
We're pretty excited. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for hanging out with us. It's been a pleasure and an absolute friggin' honour. And cheers.
Cheers to you. By the way, Gabs, what wine are we drinking?
Oh, what wine would I be drinking? If you've been tuning into other episodes, this one seems to be my favourite. I love my Oyster Bay, my beautiful white Oyster Bay. It's a beautiful thing. Thank you, guys. All the best.
You have been awesome. Thank you so much, Gabs. Speak to you guys soon.
Thanks, Quinton. And thank you, everyone.
Bye.
You've been listening to Marketing with Vino. If you enjoyed this episode and want to access the resources discussed in this episode, go to marketingwithvino.com and select which episode you've listened to.